so let us get started. Let's have a look at what we have coming up this week. And the first thing that will be very, very, very clear if anybody's looked at a chart today is that there's been a huge gap in the markets. Okay, and essentially that is being created by the Greece situation. And just give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so it's been created by the Greece situation, and we need to keep our eyes on that. Now, what we have coming this particular week is quite a big week in terms of news, and we need to take all this into consideration. Now, the first things to look out for, it is the first week of the month, which basically means it's a non-farm payroll week. How much of an impact that's going to have this particular time round? It is the 4th of July weekend as well. So basically it's been pushed forward. That's the main thing that you need to understand. Non-farm payroll numbers comes out Thursday evening our time in local Australian Eastern Standard compared to the regular which happens on a Friday for us, and that's because of the 4th of July, and the pre-numbers come out the day before on the Wednesday. There they are there. So in terms of actual data itself, that's probably the biggest impacting that we're going to have this particular week. And we also have on the Australian front, we have building numbers and we have the trade balance numbers for the Aussie. GBP has got it's got PMI numbers, so there is actually quite a lot of data. But I believe that this particular week is not a week about data; it's everything about the euro and what's happening over there. So let us talk a little bit about that. I'll have a look at when we discuss charts. I had a quick look. This particular week, there's not a great deal of trade setups, and on a week with so much volatility, and I will add that this is not normal kind of volatility. This is something way above and beyond. Okay, it's an occasion where sometimes the technicals can fail, and we tend to stay away from them and look for different types of opportunities. All right. Now, the first thing is all the meetings that happened last week. Well, pretty much they ended with no resolution. Well, in fact, there is virtually Greece has said that they're not going to make this payment on tomorrow, our time, so on the 30th of June. So effectively, they will not be able to make the IMF payment. And on top of that, the ECB has also said that we are not going to raise the emergency liquidity assistance fund that they created for them last month. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So they're going to be late on a payment, and the lender is not going to give them more room to play. Now, consequently, what's happening is the Greece government it will be holding a referendum for their people to vote whether they accept a bailout terms and conditions, which effectively expires tomorrow, and they're going to make a decision on that next week. So it's kind of like everybody's really, really confused. So what are people really voting on? So next week they're going to allow the people to vote on July 5 whether they accept some terms and conditions which expired 6 days ago. All right, I know this sounds ridiculous, it sounds stupid. That's exactly what is happening. Effectively, where does this put Greece? Where does this put the euro and everything? Up until last week, probably till about Thursday, everybody was off the belief that there will be a last-minute resolution and we're all going to come out of this okay, and people were trading the euro as per normal. When the talk started to go a little bit sour, then all of a sudden it started to pull off. Market closed. I did say last week, you do not want to be in a euro open position over this weekend. It will be highly likely that it's going to be very, very volatile. Consequently, the biggest gap that I saw this morning was on the euro yen, which is around about 350 pips. All right. So effectively, what's had to happen in Greece, they've closed the banks today on Monday. They're limited, I think, a maximum cash withdrawal of 60 euros from ATM machines. What they're trying to do is stopping people from getting their cash out, and the whole system collapsing. It's they are talking that the banks are going to be closed until this July 5 referendum, even though officially it's only closed for today. So there is absolute chaos over there. It is a week that if you've never traded the euro, we're going to see a lot of volatility. All right, so we could see movements of 100 pips, like happening in seconds, both directions. At the moment, the market is still digesting. It's had a knee-jerk reaction, and we've pulled off that 300 odd pips. All right, so we're going to jump over our charts. If you have any questions at any stage, please type in your questions. Today's session is going to be a little bit different to normal. I'm going to try and find trades for us and everything that we normally do, but we really need to understand that fundamentally sometimes the fundamentals just can simply not be ignored. All right, so there's a question right now: what is the impact of spreads on the euro currencies during this time? That is a very, very good question. What you've got to remember about such situations is when the liquidity starts to dry up. All right, what causes a spread to go wider is simply supply and demand. For example, if I'm selling something for, say, $10, and the first person that wants to buy is at $9.90, then the difference between what I'm selling and what someone is offering is only 10 cents. Now, if it becomes there's not much liquidity, meaning what I'm trying to sell, let's call it a pencil just to give it something, all of a sudden there's not many of them around, then that spread can widen because I might be asking $10, but the only person that's offering me something is, say, $8, so now my spread has changed. All right, so that's how it's actually impacted. That's how the liquidity sees it. So the less contracts are traded through, there is a chance that we could get a higher spread. It is normal. It is not broker dependent. It happens across the board. All right. I just missed one question. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I can catch it. Why is the panic when GDP of Greece is the same as Queensland? Okay. The whole panic is if Greece defaults. All right. What that basically means is that the euro was formed as this, super currency between, the elite of Europe to compete against, the US and all these other currencies globally. If one was to leave, effectively kicked out, all right, it all of a sudden puts a spotlight on all the weaker countries within that currency, the likes of your Portugals, your Italys, etc., your Spains. Now, if Greece can't make it, and then somebody, next thing you know, we're going through this again with like a Portugal or a Spain or an Italy, then it kind of defeats the purpose of this super currency, and the whole thing could dissolve, and then the euro can just collapse completely. All right, so it is a big, big thing. All right. Now, what you got to realize as well with currencies is, and pretty much with any assets, when situations of war, crisis, all these types of situations occur globally, people tend to move their assets into things that they feel are safer. All right. So, for example, imagine if you had, $3 million right now, and they were in euros. All of a sudden, you'll start to panic. Over the weekend, gold futures went up significantly because people all of a sudden, instead of holding euros, and I'm not talking about people that live in Europe, I'm just talking about anybody who had euros, they started to want to get out of that position, and they swapped it for something else. So they would use their euros to buy gold, for example. All right. So this is happening all over the place, and you really, really need to be aware and understand the situation, because that essentially is how the system works. Okay. All right. Let me bring up my charts. Let's get into it. Let's have a look what we have and what's tradable, and what we can see. Now, first of all, we'll start off with the Aussie dollar. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me get my pen out. All right. Now, we took a trade here of these two last week, Aussie dollar, and we were hanging in there, and finally we hit our 1-to-1 point. We hit it where did we hit it at? Give me 1 second. 124. So if you were holding this position, your 1-to-1 point hit there, you would have entered your trade there. Your stop was there originally, so you've reached your safety level. All right, so if you have a look at this particular pattern right now, we're clearly in a consolidation zone. If I step out to a 4-hour zone, we can see that we're in here. Okay, this floor, let me go back out to a daily chart and I'll show it to you. This floor is, we've been here a few times. We're a little bit off it, but you can see that this floor has been holding. So how would you play this? If you're still in this trade, and can I just get a show of hands of who is still in this trade? If you are, you've reached your safety point, which basically means you've got a free trade. All right? You've got a free trade. So effectively, what you would be hoping for is if we can clear this level, let me just draw a line down here. If we can clear through this particular level, all right, so this can go through there, you will hit your 2-to-1 without a doubt. You could even go as far as 3-to-1. All right, this floor has been there for quite a while, which usually means there is a lot of build-ups of orders just underneath it. So if we can get through that and start to trickle through these stop signs, yeah, this should shoot through. Okay, if we can get through here, we could shoot towards 73 levels, 72 levels. So this is a great situation to be in when you're in a free trade and you're testing the floor. If we get through it, you've just made yourself easily a 3-to-1 type of trade. So if anybody is still in that, this is an opportunity. If you're not, well then it's kind of, I wouldn't jump in on it right now. You've got another choice to make. The other option is that this floor holds and you can try and counter trend or give me one second, or range trade this, meaning try and bounce it back up. So then what we're going to be looking for, if we're looking for that trade, we're going to be interested to see what tomorrow's candle is going to look like over here. If we get a nice inside candle, then on the break of that inside candle, you could attempt to go long on this particular pair. All right, it's really all that I have on the Aussie dollar. Now you could do it off a daily chart like I've just drawn there, or you can look for it on a 4-hour. Let's see what it looks like on a 4-hour chart. Okay, since this candle has already left us, we didn't get an entry on a 4-hour, so we're going to have to look for it on a daily chart. Question been asked. Okay. The question being asked is that we may get a trending trade on a 4-hour chart. Okay, the trend being like that. So what Lois is saying is that I may get a situation there, or not necessarily those two candles, but somewhere there to give me an entry to go short. Now, the only reason I'm not talking about this trade is because in theory, if you had taken last week's trade, you're already in this trade. You're already short. All right. The only concern about this type of trade, Lois, and to anybody else that sort of is thinking about this trade, is that you're trying to take a trade out of an emerging trend that's got to go through this breakdown first. The trade would have a higher probability if you took it on this side rather than here. Now, if you're already in it from up there somewhere, well, then that's fine. Okay? So, and as Lois is pointing out, she closed hers at the double bottom. So, well, the double bottom was the 1-to-1 point anyway, which is your safety level. So, what you could have done is on a daily chart, go back to my daily chart, your entry would have been here, where I've just drawn this mark on my chart. So, your 1-to-1 point would have been there, and there was your original stop. So, this morning, when we hit that, what you could do is put your stop down to there. Was one option that we talked about, or alternatively, just close out half the position. So leave half the position running and leave the other position still at the stop at the same level. All right, so that the trade has room to move. The effect is if you come back and get stopped out, you're going to make no money. All right, so you're still going to end up at break even. Does that make sense to everybody? Another question, is it too soon to look for a breakdown out of the range? No, Karen, it's not too soon. You can look for it. Now, let me just zoom out a little bit just so that you can see exactly what you're going to be looking for. See this line that I've just drawn in? I want to clear this line, and I want to clear it cleanly. That line, I've drawn it in at around about 75.50. So what I would want is this. I would want a candle, a red one that looks kind of like this, closes well and truly below that line, and then at the open of the next candle, I would take the trade down. So if I'm going to trade the breakout, I wouldn't try and trade this breakout here. I can't ignore this one here, so I would have to trade that one there. We all clear on that? Okay, fantastic. So, so this particular one, it would have been good if everybody had taken that trade that we called out last week, because then it would make this waiting period nice and relaxed for you because you're basically in a free trade. All right, so it doesn't matter. There's always going to be another opportunity. All right, that's all we got on the Aussie dollar. Let me move on and let's have a look at the euro. Now, the first thing that I'm going to say, anybody trading anything euro this week? All right, just be very, very, very careful. Um, Keep your finger on the pulse. You could just get in a second, it could move like 200 pips. All right. So I'm just letting you know now. I did say it last week and it's already happened. So the longer you see the markets and you understand the impact of what is happening right now, it's something big. It's not a little thing. Okay. So it does make a big difference. Now, first of all, for anybody that took this trade last week, who took it? Your entry would have been there. You would have just about hit your 1-to-1 there. This with today's cap, you've hit 3-to-1 easily. This trade was a winner. So we got 2 from 2 so far last week, and no one's on board. What's going on, guys? All right, so it doesn't matter. Right now, let me just have a look. I really want to stay away from this. If I look at my daily chart, this candle here is in no man's land outside of that triangle. I really got nothing. I really got nothing for you. Let me just have a quick look. These rising wedges are really nice. I think I really, really like the rising wedges. So always try to look for them. No, and I get the feeling that Europe is just about to wake up. Frankfurt Open is in 10 minutes, and I can already see the market starting to react on what's happening. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this little cluster here just goes like that. But that's not a reason to trade it. Okay. Look, anything euro this week is really, really bad. Let's stay away from it. Okay, I can't call out any trades on the Euro USD. There's just nothing showing. All my technicals is just been spoilt by this huge gap, and I got nothing. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Do we understand why this has happened? All right. Basically, the reason why this has happened is very simple. The meetings, the core part of the meetings took place on a Saturday. On a Saturday, it was basically Greece said, "Hey, we're not going to pay you on Tuesday," and so since the market is closed, it can't gradually move down. So first thing is there's this panic. The euro's panicking. So first thing in when the market opens in a fairly illiquid market, all right, on a Monday morning, which the first market to open is New Zealand. There's all these orders just down there, sell at market, sell at market. As soon as one order triggers down here, that's it. That's where the market is, and bang, they all just get filled at that area. All right. I'll just fill some of these questions. Just give me 1 second to read them. Okay, Euro New Zealand on a daily. I'll have a look at that one. Robert, Hamid, is end of financial year similar to here in Europe? What's the possible effect? No, end of financial. I think Australia is only a weird country that does it halfway through the year. End of financial year doesn't affect anything in currencies. Okay, it's just simply an accounting thing for taxation. All right, so don't worry about it. Won't do anything. All right, let me move on. GBP USD. GBP USD is actually the only one that's looks like a proper chart. It's looking really, really good. Last week, what we were trying to do, we were trying to catch a trade in there. Unfortunately, we didn't get a setup, so it's a bit of a bummer because it's a really, really nice looking channel, but we didn't get an entry, so not to worry. On Thursday and Friday, I was carefully looking at this one. I was hoping I had an entry to continue there, but it didn't happen. And this morning, when the market opened lower, that entry is gone as well. So effectively, I'm still in the channel. I can see that I'm in a nice little bit of an uptrend, so I'm kind of looking for opportunities to buy. That's what I'm looking for. I am aware of the channel. I don't know if we're going to get back down here. I get the feeling that no. So I'm looking, if I get an entry, if I get a nice little entry anywhere in here, that's a trade that I want to take, because an entry right there will probably still give me enough room to get to about 2 to 1 before I come into the top of the channel. So it would be a nice trade to take. At the moment, I don't have it, but I am looking for it. This is one chart, however, that is okay. Like a euro crisis will affect this chart a little bit, but it's definitely tradable. All right. Let me have a quick look on a 4-hour chart. I didn't see anything before. Let's see if I can see something now. I was just seeing if I could maybe pick up a trade back down the channel there, but there's nothing really showing. Okay. So, no, there's nothing there. Okay, question being asked. Give me one moment. Is the GBP seen as a, oh, sorry, also would GBP be a safe currency? GBP is a safe haven. Not so much, but in times of crisis like now, people shift to whatever's easiest for them. All right. So generally, if we're looking for a safe haven, um, we would tend to move towards the commodities, like a gold, for example, is normally the preferred. A lot of money would be moving to the US, into the US currency. When in doubt, people buy US dollars. All right, it's traditionally been the way, so that could also be. The one that was spoken about, and I read a bit about today, was the Swiss franc. All right, now be very, very careful with the Swiss franc, because it's gaining strength, and it's almost back to the levels before we saw the huge crash. And I haven't been looking at the Swiss franc in our sessions pretty much ever since. But there is fear that money is moving to the Swiss franc as a safe haven, and I don't. And with the Swiss National Bank has already proven to the market that it will act in the best interests of Switzerland, and it doesn't really care how it affects any other market. Now, for anybody who saw what happened I don't even know how far back we're going. Was it like 4 months ago or around about 5 months ago? Can't remember exactly. Um, Basically, we saw a massive, massive crash in the Swiss franc when they decided to uncheck themselves or untie themselves from the euro and just allow the fall to happen. So people would be very conscious of that. So if it was me, I haven't traded the Swiss francs since. I'm not in a hurry to get back into it. There's plenty of other opportunities somewhere else. I am quite weary of the euro at the moment, though. I don't mind the 300 pip movement, but 1,000 pip just like that can be quite tricky. So be careful. Okay. All right. So the the GBP USD, pretty much I know what I want to do. I'm just waiting for a setup for it. So I'm really looking for a nice entry anywhere along these lines to continue that trend motion that I'm looking for. Okay? Someone's saying there's a 4 hour double bottom. Let me have a quick look. This one here, I wouldn't call that a double bottom. Okay? It is, there's 2 points that are common, but a double bottom generally doesn't come from lower and above. So this is something that's happening in the middle of two other areas. If we want a double bottom or a double top, they kind of got to be at a significant area. All right. So for example, this is actually, if this level was a little bit higher up there, this is is more of a double bottom, sorry, more of a double top, then this would be a double type bottom situation. Okay, because look, this one here, it's got something lower and something higher. It's in the middle. This one is a genuine top. Cool, great. All right, so no, I wouldn't trade that as a double bottom. All right, let's move on. Let's have a look at gold. Gold was the interesting one. So we saw the gap in gold here. And essentially the gap in gold was caused by, very simple, money moving into gold as a safe haven. All right, so that's caused the gap there. It's essentially the only thing I'm not 100% sure on this line here if this is a legitimate low because of this gap, but I'm just going to keep it there for a little bit and just watch it. And I've got a kind of a triangle. You can clearly see a converging triangle. It is a little bit steep, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. Gold is one that if we get a rush in a sell-off on the euro, we could see gold break through here, something like that, and kind of take off a little bit. All right, especially if people are not confident in putting their money to the US dollar, then definitely like this commodity will benefit from it. All right, another question. How effective are stop losses if the euro crashes? All right, this is a great question. So does everybody know how a stop loss works? And this is important to know. Let me I'll explain that when I get to the euro yen. Robert, just hold that thought. Okay. So with gold, I've got a converging triangle on a daily. On a 4 hour, I have got nothing. All right. So we'll stick with that setup that I've showing right there, and we'll keep an eye on it. Now, you want a nice clean break if you're going to try and trade it. And remember, if you haven't traded this before, what I suggest is go in demo mode and take at least a demo trade on gold so that you understand your sizing and what each point is worth, etc., etc. All right, let's move. Let's go to that euro yen so that I don't forget that question. All right, here's the one. Now, the euro yen, look at this. From Friday till today, this morning, it was like 300 and roughly 50 pips gap. All right. Now, it was caused partially, or actually mostly, by the euro, but also when that happened, funny enough, a lot of currency moved to yen. So the yen became a bit of a safe haven. So a lot of money went towards the yen, which basically meant that the yen strengthened, which basically increased this gap. All right, that's what it means. Now let's analyze the situation that was asked. How effective is a stop loss when something crashes? All right, so let's say we were over here, right there, and we were trying to trade in that direction, and we had a stop loss, let's say somewhere here in the middle. All right. Would I have been filled where this line is? So the market opens this morning, opens here. Where would I get filled? At number 1 or at number 2? If you don't know, just type in question mark. But if you do, if you think you know, just type in 1 or 2. Where do you think I would get filled? Okay, so for everybody that's answered, it's got it right. 1 question mark. Okay, great. The answer is at number 2. You would get filled at number 2. All right. Now, is that because your broker is trying to rip you off or anything like that? No, not at all. Okay. And I think I've explained this in the past, but let me try and explain it in simple terms. All right. So here I am trying to sell something at this level here. Let's pretend it's my car and I want $1,000 for it. All right. I'm a bit dyslexic. I'll write that back to front. I'm asking $1,000 for my car. All right. So I want to sell it at that level, but nobody's making me any offers. And then I'm starting to get desperate and I just want to get rid of it. And somebody says, here, I'll give you $400. If I want to sell the car, I have to accept it. Okay, even though this is the level, this is what I was asking for, a stop order is what you're asking for. Okay, so you're trying to offload at that level, but if there is nothing there, then you can't offload. Now, by definition, a stop order becomes a market order when it is touched. So as soon as the market goes through this level, your stop order converts to a market order and gets filled at the next available price. The next available price was all the way down here. All right, does everybody understand that? Yep, great. So although very, very rare in equities to see these kind of gaps, and you know what? Everybody in this class would have half expected a gap. Did I not say last week, if you hold the euro position through Friday, be careful. All right? So I don't say these things for no reason. Um, I've been around the markets a long, long time, and you can just feel anxiety building. All right? So it happens, but not all the time. All right. If you're an equity trader, you'll see this almost on a daily basis. Another question. Okay, so someone's just put a good an additional bit to explain. Let's say I was trying to sell the car for $1,000. All right. But then there's some more people that have the same vehicle, but they put theirs for sale for 400. Well, then the person that comes to buy, they've got to buy this one before they buy that one. So therefore, that's it. I'm out of the market. This is now the market. All right. So yes, very well put, Sanika. All right. So euro yen. I can't do anything. Look at that. I've just got this candle just way out there on its own. So we're just going to not touch this one. All right. I was in fact looking to try and get something there to bounce it back up. And luckily, price action saved us. We didn't get an entry. I would have had an entry maybe this morning of these 2 candles there, maybe on a break in that direction. But, now we are over here. So basically no order, nothing happened. We walk away from it. So for this week, I would say euro yen definitely. It's out. Don't worry about it. All right. Let's move on. Let's have a look at the Kiwi dollar. All right, Kiwi dollar. Are we in a trend? Does that look like a trend to anybody? Yes? No? Maybe? What do we think? Yep. Absolutely. We're in a nice trend. So there's one, I'll just show you one thing. I was trying to pick up a trade here somewhere in that direction. The reason why I was trying to pick up that trade, if I go to a weekly chart and I run Fibonacci from this point here, let's call that point A, all the way to here, point B, across as such, I was finding that this extension was the 1618 number, which is a very, very strong number. So I'm kind of half expecting a bounce back up. All right, now to do it off a weekly chart basically means you're going to have to wait at least 3 weeks to see if you get this set up. All right, so I'm not going to trade a weekly chart, so I'll step into a daily. The level is still valid. I was trying to get an entry there, but I couldn't really get one. All right. So, and then effectively now we've just broken a bit lower. So I'm half expecting this to bounce somewhere. All right. So I'm not confident to trade the bounce, but what I am looking for is this. If I get the bounce, then I'm happy to try and get my trade off the bounce down the bottom. All right, especially if if it happens around the 70, around about the 70 mark, because I think 70 is going to be the new ceiling. So let me mark in where 70 is. Give me 1 second. Okay, that's roughly the 70 level. So what I'm trying to say is this: if this now comes like this and then comes up to there, and I get an entry there, I'm really going to like this trade. All right, this is a trade that I would really, really like. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. All right, what was the question? Something on a daily channel. Give me a second. This channel is starting to get a little bit on the steep side. Okay, in any case, this channel will support my 70 level, which is around about there. All right, I'll leave the channel marked in, but it's just a little bit on the steep side. I had it drawn in and then I took it off. All right, look, let's just leave it. But notice it's a little bit on the steep side. I would prefer it not so steep, but let's leave it and let's see what we can come up with. Still, it doesn't change what I'm looking for. I'm still looking for a bounce and then a pull down. Why is steep not so good? Okay, it doesn't leave enough space in here to do this. Okay, it's good for the selling trades, but not good for the up ones. So an ideal channel. Give me a second, I'll show you. I like a really nice, that GBP USD is a really nice channel. Let's go back to it. Oops. See that angle there, guys? This is a really nice channel. Plenty of room to come down, plenty of room back up, plenty down. They don't get better than this. This channel is almost textbook. That's why I'm respecting it so much, and I'm really looking for the next opportunity to see if I can get it. All right. Compare that to this. See how it doesn't look as pretty and nice and smooth? So usually for me, if I can get from one side to the other with like 3 or 4 candles, it's not that good. All right, I'd like to be wider and just get nice swings like this, and the angle I prefer it a little bit less than what this one is. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm being pedantic, I know. There's no exact definition. Trading is a bit of an art form, and you'll develop your own method and what you love the most. And I'm just sharing ones that I feel. And I look at that and I don't like it. It's actually all of a sudden I don't even like the trade. So can I just get rid of it, guys? That looks better to me. I'm a bit more comfortable now. See, now I'm just looking at a nice trend and I'm looking for a good pullback to try and get an entry in. Okay? All right, so that's all we have. Let me have a look. 4 hours. Nah, just stay as it is. All right, let's move on to the Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro Aussie, as luck would have it for us, for the ones that took the break out of there, well, this morning, you're over here, not quite hitting your target yet, but it's a lot better than up there. All right, so it's just one of those things. It's playing out. However, it does spoil any situations for us. Oh, hang on, give me 1 second. Let me just get rid of these. I don't need these anymore, so just 1 second. Okay, there's two channels here, guys. The only problem is it's the euro. All right, and all right, I'm just going to say don't worry about it. Okay, like normally I would say I'm going to look for a. I can see trades here, but I prefer not to. The most obvious is there's a setup there that we could get a break up there, but I'm trading against everything, all the fundamentals, so I wouldn't take that. Technically, yes, if the euro crisis was not happening at the moment, that would be a trade that you guys know me. This is a trade that I would definitely say yes, let's go for it, but I'm not today. All right, so look, let's just wait this one out. There's nothing there. Let me pull up some different charts, something that we don't normally look at. Let's see if we can find something for us. What was that chart that somebody asked for earlier? Could you just type it in again for me so I can remember? Okay, someone's saying US CAD. Let's have a look at that. So give me 1 moment and I'll bring up the US CAD. Euro New Zealand. Okay, I'll do that one next. Okay, this is the US CAD. Give me 1 moment. Who likes this? Can anybody see anything in this chart? I can see quite a few things here. It's actually quite nice. All right, let me help you along. That looks really nice. Okay, we're in the pointy end. We're in the pointy end, which means we are either wanting that or this one. Let me zoom out for 1 second. Which side do we favor, guys? Do we have a favored side? Probably up a little bit, yeah. Probably a little bit more. We'll probably favor the up a little bit more. Um, Now, remember, these patterns we covered over the last couple of weeks. This is the hardest one psychologically. What you're going to be looking for is we want a clean break. I'm going to be looking for my green candle like this. Now, because there's a top here, it's going to be a little bit of discretion whether you want this one to close above that, or if it clears this line clearly like I've just drawn it there, that might be good enough for you to have a go at it in that direction. Okay? Alternatively, we want the opposite. We want a red one like this, and then we hit it that way. Okay? All right, let me have a look. What's the next one? Euro New Zealand. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're in a trend. What do you think I'm going to be looking for, guys? The only problem with this one is it's the euro again. Now, this one's interesting because New Zealand's had heaps and heaps of weakness. In fact, it's had so much weakness that the euro's been going up. But now, if they both have weaknesses, this one may not drop as quick as other euro crosses. All right. Um, so we're we're definitely in an uptrend. So if I was to trade this normally, what I would look for is I'm going to look for some kind of a candle pattern there to take me back up. However, because it's a euro, I'm going to say no this week. All right, let me see. Another question. Do you ever wait for it to come back to test the line before we break out? Oh, was that question, Sanika, was that in reference to the triangle? I suggest go back and watch last week's class, I think it is. Last week's class, last Thursday's class, or the one before. Email me and I'll send it to you, okay? Because I did pattern trading and I talked about the three different ways that we can address that situation. All right, so just email me and then I'll see if I can dig it up for you. All right. Okay. What was the other one somebody said? There was another pair there. GBP AUD. Give me 1 second. GBP AUD. By the way, I'll definitely encourage you, when you're doing your homework, practicing your things, bring all your questions to the Monday classes, or the Thursday. I'll always answer them, and so that you can basically take the most out of the program. All right, GBP AUD, here we go. So pretty easy pattern to look at. We're definitely in an uptrend. It's unlucky that we didn't get a good setup in there because that would have been a trade to attempt. Let me just look at another time frame. 1 second. Okay, now I would only be looking for longs in this particular example, and really, if I'm looking to get in, I'm looking for a good pullback. Look for the price action entry, and then enter the trade in that direction. Okay. Anybody else want me to have a look at anything? I've got a few minutes. Anybody got any questions? Just type them in. That can be off topic. I'll answer it for you. Um, Let me see if I can find something. Sometimes I'll show you a cool little trick. Once you've got your favorite template on your screen, like I've got it right now, and you want to run through, and let's say you're looking for setups. Okay, what you can do is just bring up your market watch on the side. The answer to the question to the email, whatever, just respond to the email invitation that you got to today's class. Just respond to that. That comes to me. So that'll be my email address. Okay, so let's say this is a template that I'm looking at and I want to look for other opportunities. All I do is I just from the menu on the side, I just click on any currency, for example, and just drag it on and it just changes the currency. So if I look at some other ones that I haven't looked at, like say the pound yen, I just click it and drag it, and I can very quickly see what's in trend, what's not in trend. All right, and you can pick up nice trades. And even if you have a look, like if you just want to test out a method, say for example, just look at this bit of chart that we're looking at right now, and we're having a look at our price action type entries. You can see that we would have picked up that trade right there. All right, that one would have been one that we would have got. We would have picked up this little one there. We didn't get an entry off that one, so over there we wouldn't have got an entry. And this is like at key moments when it pulls back, we got an entry. Pulls back, got an entry, etc. I would be looking for one there right now. If I get it, the only problem is this gap's a little bit not so nice. But you see that the method works quite well. And then just simply just click and drag whatever you want to look at, GBP Kiwi. Just click it, drag it across, and you can have a look. Okay, let me have a look at Kiwi Yen. So I'm just having a look at any chart that shows me something that I like. So just bear with me 1 second. Okay, if anybody likes range trading, for the range traders, have a look at the Aussie CAD, see if you like it. It's just been in, this is when, look at that, there's lots of opportunities in there. So for the range traders, just look at that. It's in nice volatile ranges. Should we ignore trend chaser entries into the Europe climate? Ray, right now, I'm going to say yes. Okay? Just right now, let's just wait till it sorts itself out. All right? So, yes. Any other questions? If you click and drag, does it disappear and come back to your original chart? Now you just got to go back to your original chart, Lois. So for example, I'm on the Aussie CAD. So this chart was an Aussie US. All I do when I'm finished is I go back to the US, drop it and drag it again, and it comes back to the exact same markings. You can see it's even got that congestion zone that I had highlighted there. All right. So yes, so the answer is it goes back to your original chart, but just got to drag it back on. That's all. Okay. It just allows you to look at more things. So you're looking for the same type of setup on more things. All right. All right. Any other questions before we call it a day? Unfortunately, this week there hasn't been as many setups. The Aussie dollar, if you're on that, you're still hanging in there. If not, you're looking for a breakdown, or for the counter trend trader, you're looking for a bounce. Euro USD, we said nothing. GBP, USD, we're waiting for a nice entry on a pullback. This chart looks really nice, really smooth. So if we get it, we'll be all over that. Gold, we got a triangle. We just got to wait for a break. US yen. We are at the bottom of congestion here, and I don't have anything. Let's see if anything pops up for us. Euro yen we're ignoring. Kiwi dollar we're waiting for a pullback, and Euro Aussie we're ignoring this week. Okay, the question is, along with short-term positions, do you recommend long-term small positions like you hear USD is downtrend? Okay, the answer to that question, Hamid, is that you generally, and we'll talk about this in the coming weeks, but your trading portfolio should have a mixture of the way that you like to trade. So for example, for myself personally, I normally allocate, say, maybe 30% of the equity of my portfolio to long-term positions, 30% to, say, swing type trades, trades that might last between, say, 1 day and, say, 7 days, and then 40% to short-term positions that may last 10 minutes to, say, 3 hours. Okay, and this one here may be from 1 day up to, say, 40 days as an example. All right, so what I'm trying to say is you need to see what suits your personality, and then you can write that into your trading plan and then just follow your trading plan accordingly. All right, great. Any other questions? We all good? All right. Well, then I'll see you all on Thursday, 3:30. I'm going to study the markets and just try and bring up something that suits the current climate for us so that we can experiment. So I'll show you another strategy. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll show that to you on Thursday. Have a great trading week. Please keep your finger on the pulse. Um, I'll be tweeting this week, so I'll send messages. So keep an eye on that, just to alert you as to what's happening. All right. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you all on Thursday. Bye for now.